Here we go. We're at part 2 of my cartoon favorites countdown. And number 5 is Spider-Man. Wait, which one? There's only been like 30 of them. My personal favorite is the first one from the 60s. It had debuted on, I think, ABC or something like that, Saturday mornings. Not that long after the comic debuted, actually, maybe like 3 or 4 years or something like that. Uh, and they used a lot, especially in the original episodes, a lot of the plot lines, well, stories, from the first kind of issues. And they even used a lot of Steve Ditko artwork. Actually, they would trace it and kind of animate it into the shots, which would always look cool. I mean, they used them over and over again a lot, and fuck, I didn't care. It looked awesome. And I believe Ralph Bashki, famous animator from the 70s and 80s, had worked on the show as well. It was a very cool show. I loved it a lot. It got me into comic books, got me into Spider-Man, and therefore Batman and everybody else. So I just love the show. It always has a cool look to it. I remember particularly the Lizard episode just frightened me as a child. He was a really scary villain. And of course, when you're 5 years old, you don't really think that Peter Parker, who's supposed to be a teenager, is flirting around and trying to, go out with Betty Brant, who's in her 20s. I mean, yeah, when I was 16, I was trying to fuck women in their 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s and their teens, and basically any woman that moved. So, yeah, it didn't occur to me that would be strange. The Peter Parker scenes, actually, were probably the weakest in the show because when you look back at them, they look a lot like the Clark Kent scenes from the Max Fleischer Supermans, where it's basically him hanging out in the office of a newspaper where there's only two people, the editor and a girl, and they're talking about something happening. And then the action happens, and then the episode ends with them going, well, that was pretty weird. Too bad I'm not Spider-Man, wink, wink. But who cares? I love it. Number 4 is Outlaw Star. I'm a big fan of the golden age of... Can we call it golden age? The golden age of Toonami. And a lot of their shows could have been on this list. But I am going to choose Outlaw Star. It's the show I discovered through Toonami. I'd never heard of it before. It debuted on the Toonami block. And it's a lot of fun. It's Gene Starwind and his partner Jim, who's a 10-year-old or something, 10-year-old genius. And they're, let's see, they're kind of guns for hire. They do bounty hunter work. They do repair work. And they, through a whole series of adventures, they end up with this spaceship, which they named the Outlaw Star. And part of that spaceship is a cyborg named Melfina, who's easily one of the most sympathetic, likable female characters I've seen in an animated series of all time. I mean, she just looks like confused and lost, and she talks for a second, and you just go, I hope she's okay. And then, of course, they have a couple partners break into the whole thing. We got Twilight Suzuka and I can't remember the cat girl's name. All of a sudden, she joins them, and it's just a fun series. The action's really cool, and on I could tell when it was on Toonami that they would make cuts here and there, but it was still an excellent show. Lots of fun. I completely recommend it. There's a box set that has all the episodes on it. You should check it out if you can. Number 3 is Transformers. I'm talking about the original G1 series. Because let me tell you, when I was 12, I did what a lot of 12-year-old kids do. I tried to put away childish things. I stopped buying comic books. I stopped watching cartoons. I sold my Star Wars collection. How fucking stupid was that? Uh, and I kept a few trinkets here and there that really meant a lot to me, but I pretty much got rid of everything. And I was about around 15, 16 when the show was on, and I caught it while flipping channels, and I saw a roll call of Autobots, and I saw Jazz and Prowl transform into cars, and I was hooked. That was it. They were robots that turned into cars, and they're from another planet, and they're not being controlled by people. They're actually, they actually have like conscious, maybe not souls, but they're intelligent and they fight each other, and oh my god, it's the best thing I've ever seen. And I instantly like fell in love with like Optimus Prime, voiced by Peter Cullen. That is an amazing voice. And he makes James Earl Jones sound like Eddie Deason. That's a voice. He has that kind of John Wayne-ish kind of vibe to him, especially in the beginning of the series. And then I really dug the trinity of evil of the Decepticons, Megatron, Starscream, and Soundwave. I thought that relationship that between among the three of them, I think, really was probably one of the most interesting parts of the series. And the action was really fun. It got me into buying the Transformers toys as a kid, and there were a lot of animation mistakes. A lot of fans seem to forget that, but there were a lot of mistakes within the show. But I was glued every week. And number 3 is Justice League. I'll say it right now. Justice League was what I wanted Super Friends to be my entire childhood. It's got all the superheroes. There's amazing action, but it looks beautiful with the Bruce Timm style. There's a lot of intelligent plot lines running through and connecting all the previous Bruce Timm series. It's just a perfect show, and I count Justice League and Justice League Unlimited as one series. Frankly, I have no use for pretending they're different shows. That's an incredible show, and it almost beats out number 1, but there's just no way around it for me, Batman, the animated series by Bruce Timm, Paul Dini, and company. This show changed everything. They were doing a lot of unique things, and because of the Tim Burton movies had a little bit of a darkness to them, they were allowed to create a darker, more mature tone to the series. And Fox Animation was trying to make a name for itself, so they kind of gave them a little leeway to do this. And I suppose it's probably something to do with the cartoony style, which was kind of radical when you think about it. Because up until then, in action shows, they did their best to make all the muscles like detailed, and Bruce Timm figured out that it's a lot easier to have these characters move and look good if we simplify the designs. And also the voice acting was terrific. Instead of everybody talking, useless dialogue, the dialogue mattered when it came in, and there was actually tone to the performances. Is easily my favorite show of all time, and that's it. I have nothing else to add. Well, that's it. This was fun, and I'm the real Manos. Take care.